Hypersonic missiles are the new prized technological weapons of today's age. Reluctantly, US, Russia, and China are engaged in a hot pursuit of acquiring these newest weapons. It is reported that the US is now making its own hypersonic missile after China and Russia have successfully made their own missiles. In this video, we will talk about this hypersonic missile, which can be a potential game changer, so stay tuned. But before we continue further, I would request you to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. The latest attempt by the US to acquire a hypersonic missile has bore fruit, and the weapon is called the Gambit missile. The Gambit missile has the potential to travel faster than every other hypersonic missile before it and can end up saving up to 500 million USD. The reason why the Gambit missile is so powerful is because of its engine. Additionally, this weapon can be launched through multiple platforms, including ground launch platforms, as well as fighter jets and Navy ships, and can acquire speeds greater than Mach 5. The term hypersonic missile was first coined by NASA to describe the flight path of a missile which has speeds of more than Mach 5. However, there are other criteria too, which determine if a missile is hypersonic or not. For instance, the hypersonic missile also should have the capability to maneuver through an unpredictable path to evade radar detection systems. This unique capacity of the hypersonic missile to change its flight path unpredictably gives it its defining trait. We have in fact come up with missiles which have speeds greater than Mach 5. For example, ICBMs have the tendency to travel up to Mach 20. But it is important to remember that even with these speeds, ICBMs cannot be considered as hypersonic missiles, since once their flight path has been programmed, it cannot change. This makes it easy to intercept them after these missiles are launched. The ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles, have a pre-programmed predictable elliptical path, which makes it easy to determine what the destination of the missile would be. Given how advanced SAMs, or surface-to-air missile defense systems, are today, these missiles do not pose as much a threat today. Hypersonic missiles are much more difficult to intercept because of their capability to change their trajectory. In the case when a missile is launched to intercept these missiles, they simply change their direction, making it difficult to track them and destroy them before they hit their target. Especially intercepting these missiles at speeds reaching Mach 5 by missile defense systems is just out of the question. The difficulty in tracking these hypersonic missiles is due to the area of the atmosphere in which these hypersonic missiles travel. These missiles fly much higher than slower subsonic missiles, but lower than ICBMs. That area is intermediate and is not one which military powers are accustomed to defending. One of the reasons how a hypersonic missile evades detection is through formation of plasma clouds during flight. These plasma clouds absorb radio waves and through absorption, help hypersonic missiles evade detection, making them very stealthy weapons. However, there is a problem related to these hypersonic missiles. These weapons are extremely expensive to develop. The US State Department estimates that a hypersonic missile could cost as much as 106 million United States dollars. When a weapon costs as much, there are limited chances of firing these missiles in a barrage. Missiles to retain their explosive potential need to be fired in waves. However, previously, this was not possible. However, this new hypersonic missile has saved the US a whole lot of money without sacrificing on its speed, distance, or lethality. This new missile is called the Gambit missile. The Gambit missile was made public in 2022 by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. The reason why Gambit is so deadly is because it uses an innovative method of propulsion which other military powers know very little about. Gambit makes use of rotating detonation engines, which makes it lighter than existing jet engines, but at the same time increases the overall power of the engine, its explosive potential, and fuel efficiency, which helps increase its range. These engines basically harness the power of explosion. Isn't that amazing? The concept of harnessing energy is relevant to almost all engines which utilize energy in almost all forms. Similar concept was given in the 1950s by Arthur Nichols, a professor of aerospace engineering from the University of Michigan, who wanted to develop a similar platform. These rotating detonation engines are themselves based on pulse jet engines. Pulse jet engines work basically by mixing air and fuel in a combustion chamber. After mixing air and fuel, the mixture is ignited to fire out of a nozzle in rapid pulses. Firing in rapid pulses is done instead of consistent combustion, which is normally practiced in conventional engines today. In this condition, the mixture burns in a steady deflationary way. The pulse engine has now evolved into a rotating detonation engine. This engine now utilizes explosions rather than deflationary bursts. The reason is that explosions produce much more energy and produce shockwaves which are 20,000% faster than what we have in deflation. The more powerful these shockwaves are, the more thrust is produced by these engines with the same amount of fuel. The 3 rotating detonation engines make this weapon a true standout because getting up to Mach 5 is not entirely new, or even designing hypersonic missiles is nothing revolutionary at this point in time. The detonation shockwaves are channelized within the engine rather than sending out the shockwave through the back wave of the aircraft. These shockwaves travel through a circular pathway in the engine through which its thrust could be put to use again and again. Essentially, the thrust generated by the explosion is recycled within the engine. The recycling of these thrusts help with fuel efficiency since the missile now is producing a continuous thrust without burning through that much amount of fuel. Overall, this helps with more fuel efficiency, which helps in making these weapons more cost-effective. The increased fuel efficiency is what DARPA wanted to achieve. The design principle was unveiled in front of the public on July 18th. In addition to making this design public, DARPA also released a special note calling for firms to submit bids on developing the novel rotating detonation propulsion system, which could be a mass-producible, low-cost, long-range missile. However, the question is, where could these weapons be put to good use? There are very limited theaters of operations where the US military has to counter enemy troops in very close proximity. One such area of conflict is the 1,000 miles of Chinese shores where anti-ship weapons have been in continuous development. Here, the main carrier-based weapons, such as the F-35C and the F-18 Super Hornet, are used, but each of these tools have an upper limit of 650 miles. Again, the munitions range is severely limited due to lack of longer-range armaments. It is exactly in such an environment that the Gambit missile could help tip the scale in America's favor. One reason is that Gambit missiles can be fitted in both aircraft jets and the US Navy. Overall, the Gambit missile can help with increasing 10% more thrust, 25% more fuel efficiency, and price cuts of hundreds of millions of dollars. It is expected that the Gambit missile would be adopted in 18-month phases. But does this mean that the US has gained superiority in the race against hypersonic missiles? The answer is no. China is still the leading hypersonic missile developing country. Russia is often thought to be the leading hypersonic weapon since it was the first country to have developed this weapon, but some of its hypersonic missiles are not even hypersonic missiles. This is the case with the Kinzhal hypersonic missile, which is only a short-range ballistic missile. The true leading hypersonic missile is the Chinese DF-17, which remains the most cutting-edge hypersonic missile in the world today. However, Gambit aims to dethrone DF-17 in the future. Comment down below if you think that will be possible. Thank you for watching till the end, and please give this video a thumbs up.